that they can actually win a series against Miracle.
I mean, I have to be slightly critical of De Jong's individual Diablo play. A lot of his APOCs have not been on point, and although it's unfair to pin the entirety of the blame on him for that, because, you know, APOC, everyone can walk out of it if there's no follow-up CCs, and you can only ensure that one person gets it, but often he failed to ensure that anyone got hit. And his charges in were often somewhat off with the rest of his team as well, so I think that played a part in Raven's eventual demise, but still overall looking extremely positive for Raven. I am very happy that now they have grit, right? This is huge. Because until the end of the first phase, they didn't really have any grit. When they were losing 2-0, they decided to trawl around and pick random picks like play Nova, play Asmodan without apparent reason.
Nova 0-2
Yeah.
was one of the games that I remember, but guys, we're not done yet.
Yep.
We're going into map number 4. It's going to be Sky Temple, picked from Miracle, because they've been losing a lot of Towers of Doom. The Spider one, you can't macro, but it's one of the smaller maps, so bigger map. Having all the macro, I think Miracle wants to snowball this one out and take the series.
This is definitely a map that Miracle will have the upper hand on, but we, again, as we talked about in the game for the last cast, Sky Temple is the map that Raven got their sweet, sweet turnaround victory against Tempest on the last day of Phase 1. So they will be taking some really good memories from that, and if they apply that here, then they could make this go all the way.
Yeah, that will be what they're looking for, and oftentimes we saw this Malthael ban seems like they're banning it because they're not really prepared for it. I don't think there is anyone that's dedicated to play Malthael, and because you know that opponent will use that against you, they're banning it instead.
I mean, I'm okay with like the first ban Malthael on this map particularly, well, not only because Dami has definitely been practicing it in Hero League and in scrims, because MVP Black are one of the teams that loves Malthael the most, and I've heard that, you know, MVP Miracle are taking up the Malthael as well, so that makes sense. Raven first picks Uther, and that's a very good decision, seeing as how good Chom has been.
Yeah, Chom's Divine Storm has been the go, and it has been working very effectively against Miracle. It seemed like he often caught Miracle off guard.
Illidan is open.
That's right, also can use Illidan as the global with the hunt.
And if we look at the stats for Illidan on this particular map here, Illidan is 2-0 on this map, which isn't that impressive. But what makes it impressive is that he has been banned 8 times on this map alone, so definitely his global pressure with the hunt and his consistency when dealing with the Shrine Guardians, a lot of that should be taken into account. But MVP Miracle definitely know what they want to do today. They pick Stitches and Ariel once again in the first rotation.
And seems to be they're really preferring Stitches for Judy, especially because his ETC has stepped down a little bit. His Stitches play was solid from season number 1, and he hasn't really been showing any other than Stitches. Sometimes Anubrak, sometimes Arthas, but oftentimes more Stitches. So going for the comfort pick, and we just saw great hooks coming out from game number 3 especially. So I don't see anything wrong with Miracle's picks right now. Of course, Ariel, top support for Raven. This is a little bit of, I see a little change in this rotation already. Anubarak picked in the second round of rotations. What do you think about this?
I think that this is decent. I mean, Raven has always preferred Anubarak as one of their go-to warriors, which definitely makes sense. And I think this is the exact set of heroes that they took on Battlefield of Eternity, which is the game that they won, right? They balanced out the comp with Li Ming and stuff. But I also I really need to highlight how Judy has picked up Stitches so effectively, because as of last week, he was playing more than half the time, if you remember. He played more than 6 times in 11 matches, and considering how meh Muradin is in the current meta for most main tank players, it's very respectable that he picks up such an important meta hero this fast.
Yeah, that's right. They are really going towards the Grey main, and also picking up all the DPS before.
I like the Abathur ban. Definitely pairs well with the Anubara Uther Greymane that Raven has going on, and Raven decides that, you know, as long as you don't have Ario Rehgar, I think we can deal with the rest.
Yeah, because they already have Uther, but they still have Tassadar open for that extra shielding, and here comes Illidan. Can Dami make the changes happen this time in game number 4? Let's see. It has not. Dami did not really impress us too much today.
Yeah, that was like his game 2 Illidan play wasn't the best, to put it mildly, and he will be dying to redeem his name because he was the Illidan player, right? People were giving his Illidan even more respect than Rich's Illidan, which is something crazy to think about if you say that out loud. But again, Dami will have some extra care going on for him this time because Tassadar is much more suited to supporting an Illidan compared to the Lucio that was the double support competition for MVP Miracle in game 2.
That's right, Lucio did have the sustain, but there was no burst, and this time with that shielding, extra shielding onto Illidan will be a lot more protective onto him. He can freely go around. Seems to be, they do have lots of lock-ins though, so much CCs actually with the Dehaka pickup. I'd say it from the beginning of the series that Raven rarely picks Dehaka, but here they are, and Vala picked up from Miracle with Ario pair-up. How do you like this draft?
I think, again, both sides' drafts make a lot of sense. I like Raven's draft a slight bit more simply because I really, generally speaking, I don't like it when Tassadar is sort of forced to shield 2 people at once. Like, both Illidan and Vala really want the shield, and there's only one. And Tassadar, compared to his place before the rework, hasn't been as survivable as before, so...
Yeah, it may be really hard for Tassadar to keep both alive, but this may be the end of the series. Let's go into game number 4, Sky Temple. In blue, MVP Miracle, Judy on Stitches, Dami on Illidan, Jaehyun on Ario, Crazy Moving on Vala, and Sniper on Tassadar.
And on the side of Raven, we see Darvish on Greymane, Hamelin on Dehaka, NMX on Leeming, Diong on Anubarak, and Chom on Uther. I think an opening that MVP Miracle might be tempted to try out is the hard pushing a single lane at level 1 because they have a composition somewhat suited for that, but the hook misses, so they can't be as aggressive right now.
The Chinese double support meta has fully adapted into all regions, guys. Seems like they're not going for it for the moment, as Illidan will be hard pushing top. And something that I'm afraid of, as if I were Dami, there are just so much CCs onto the other side, and it's oftentimes target or drag, so it's a long CC too. Yeah. So when you're stepping in, you have to make sure that all the CCs are already used or gone. If they're holding into it, it's very hard for you to go in.
Yeah, all the constant mind games, the little ones, will be going on alongside these team fights. And so far, both teams seem to be approaching the lane assignments in roughly the same manner. 3 on the bottom side, 1 on the top and middle lanes.
Yep, and with that, Hamelin already seems to be doing okay against Dami's Illidan on the top lane. They do not have the sustain.
It's generally accepted that the side with a shield hero is definitely the stronger one when it comes to the 3v3 largest lane tussle. So we see that going on here. MVP Miracle are able to put a bit more pressure onto Raven's triple lane, and they will be approaching the first Shrine phase with a bit of an advantage because obviously Illidan, if it's Illidan versus Dehaka, then Illidan has a slightly easier time playing around with the Guardians because he has better mobility.
Yes, that's right. With the Qs and the Ws, lots of mobility. Actually, double tempo going towards Raven for the moment. I think Miracle wanted to push a little bit more into the bottom lane with the Vala Trinity. But I think Raven defended against that pretty well, but hold on to that thought as Raven is stepping right into the circle. They're being really aggressive. Also, Diong also into the perfect spot, and Crazy Moving gets some CC, but lack of damage, but Judy's the one actually being caught on the other side.
So really well played by Raven, good execution on one end, and Crazy Moving was a bit too adventurous with his positioning right there, eating up a lot of damage, and although he didn't die right away, I mean, he got healed to full instantly, but that meant that there was no more heals to give on to Judy, so he died. So again, Crazy Moving might want to be a bit more careful with his positioning, but he sort of makes up for it with that kill.
And it looks like the Haka may have got a little overextended against the Vala Ariel there.
And really solid decision to take out the siege camp. The issue is that they have to be a bit speedy in order to take it, but yeah, Stitches comes over to make sure it's perfectly safe.
They spotted a lot of heroes on top, so knowing their positioning, I think this was a very good shot call, especially exactly what Raven needs right now to actually come back into this game. And because the Vala Trinity, that will be a very, very big problem to deal with Raven when they are looking for that reset onto Li Ming. There's always a shield, always the burst heal coming out from Ariel. Will be very tough to actually get the pick off. The only thing they can do is have all the CCs put into 1 or 2 targets and really focus all the damage that they can.
I really like Raven's decision to start rolling the Bruiser camp really early and deciding to double push, even triple push this alongside them, because it completely counteracts what MVP Miracle wants to do on the bottom side of the map. They didn't have access to their siege camp because MVP Miracle took it away, which was a good call, and they knew that they couldn't really deal with the Tassadar, Vala, Ariel triple push with 3 heroes. So this is a perfect countermeasure against that, sending up top 3 heroes of their own, leaving Li Ming on the bottom to wave clear and soak a bit. Really solid shot calling coming out of
so they can actually get closer to 10 before Miracle does. They're pushing in all the resources because when that second phase of the temple spawns on the bottom, they will be missing the fountains, of course, but anyhow, they will be lacking in sustain. I think this is a very good shot call, actually going into the second wall for a bit. There's a drag onto Stitches. Dami comes in for the damage. There's a sustain coming out from Tastar, but no healing. So they decide to back off for now.
MVP Miracle were definitely a bit too late in deciding to address that triple push going up on the top lane, but as of now, they are only slightly behind on structures, and all in all, the experience lead remains in neither side's favor, so still okay for both sides. Both sides won't be too unhappy with what's going on here.
They're about 10 even, and Raven, if they can cocoon Ariel, I think that will be the perfect choice. Limiting all their sustain and try to get a pick off onto Crazy Moving. That will be the perfect team fight going towards Raven. They are stepping in to the temple as they don't want to go all the way in right now because that will be overextending a little bit.
I sort of like Dehaka's decision to
Crazy Moving gets all the damage from the temple shots too.
Oh, he'll be healed up to full pretty soon. A decent hook lands onto Darvish. No follow-up CC, so that won't be a problem. But I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's a kill! Crazy Moving! That was perfect roll with the W and the Q.
Would you say that was some crazy moving?
That was some crazy moving.
I'm going to get flamed for this one. But I felt compelled to make it. Anyway, I was going to talk about how the Dehaka, instead of deciding to split push a lane of his own, like just joining them in for the fight and not deciding to get the advantage lead, I thought it was a pretty smart decision, but then Raven decided that they didn't really want to do anything with it. If you bring a Dehaka down as a clumped ball of 5, then you really need to initiate because you're actively losing out on why you picked Dehaka while the Dehaka is there.
Actually, DeYoung steps in the second lane. Seems like Sniper doesn't even, you have to use Shift and onto the onto the other side. And MX gets caught from Dami. This is a disaster coming in for Raven's side. Greymane could not even do, I don't think he even did 1 damage because he was out of the fight from beginning.
Uther definitely got burst down too fast, and there wasn't a really good angle for the Divine Storm, so MVP Miracle is going to take the boss now, and probably the left siege camp as well, so there's going to be a massive push going on with the boss, with the Tassadar, with the Ariel Vala.
And Dami's going home to clear the top wave, and with the Hunt, he can join into teamfight anytime. That's the kind of macro they've been always showing with Illidan. So that's exactly why Mighty banned Illidan so many times against Miracle. And this is the kind of macro play we're seeing again from Miracle. There's a hook onto DeYoung, actually gets tons of damage.
Solid CC chain going out, and Hamelin decides to come over, but that was for naught. Dami with a very adventurous hunt, but he doesn't get punished.
Yeah, well, actually, Animex uses teleport. He does not go over the wall. They don't spot him for now. That was dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of danger coming out for both sides. I'm a bit disappointed that MVP Miracle didn't roll the left side siege camp alongside the boss, because that would have made this push a slightly more powerful.
Here comes DeYoung onto the chase. There's the cocoon, but insta block, and Auriel is now there. There's a divine shield onto multiple targets, but Chum will be picked up because he was alone. He overextended that one.
Dami is very happy with how the team fight is playing on. He can just dive in to his heart's content. And Hamelin, nothing much to do here while his drag is on cooldown. And, ooh, nice dodge onto that hook. But something we have to keep in mind, why are these team fights panning out in such a different manner from what we saw in Game 2? Because now MVP Miracle has Tassadar, and Tassadar can break apart Cocoon so much faster than Lucio.
That's the thing. They do have burst damage. They insta-focused Cocoon, so because they know they need Auriel, the target will be Auriel every single time for the Cocoon.
We can insta-cocoons, you know?
Yeah, insta-Cocoon, that's the word. Of course, Li-Ming is on the other side, though. There's no Disintegrate, but Illidan's auto attack, of course, Vala with the Strafe, which got cancelled by the Divine Storm. But still, decent damage. Overall, very good positioning coming off from Miracle. And oftentimes, as we saw from lots of games previously too, DeYoung seems to be engaging a little bit earlier compared to all his teammates. Maybe he's the one shot calling, let's go in, and then everyone reacts to his shot calling, it seems like.
Definitely. Then if that's the case, then the team would have to do a slightly better job at responding to his calls immediately. But now a team fight breaks out, and Raven not in the best spot, and also a talent tier down.
That hunt was that hunt and the follow with the cleanse was very good, but Hamelin gets so low. Burrow will not save him. Actually does save him for the moment, and because of the cocoon, all the focus was onto the cocoon, but here comes Illidan. Chun will get picked off.
So I guess the Burrow saved him, but not his team. And I feel somewhat conflicted about the decision to take Archon coming out from Sniper, because when you're in Archon, there is a slight problem when you take Archon against Inubarok, because while you're in Archon, you can't break apart cocoons as fast, but that didn't seem to be a problem this game so far.
Oh, NMX is doing barely any damage with those team fights because they're all staying in together. There's extra protection. This is the moment you go for that glass cannon. This is the moment. You need that glass cannon because you're so far back anyhow. Of course, Illidan can dive you, but just trust Uther's cleanse and the burst heal. Do tons of damage from the back line. I think they need more damage right now.
But what about Cannoneer?
Oh, sorry. No chance now. Poor G-Clef and Rally.
He just takes illusionist.
Oh, there we go. There's a helping hand again from Judy. Says, easy peasy. I've done enough pool parties that I know exactly how to hook everyone.
I'm so sad that pool party is over.
That was the best brawl.
I'm going to uninstall the game. Maybe not.
Please don't Rally. We need you in the Hero League, of course. Okay, going back into the game, guys.
Bottom Shrine open, not a lot that Raven can do to contest it, really. They're a full 3 levels down. Hamelin comes a bit earlier than Dami, and Dami...
Crazy moving alone, no protection on the other side. This is the best chance for Raven right now. Young extra CC put in. There's the Crystal Aegis. Chum is in very dangerous position, but here comes Dami to wipe everyone off the screen. DeYoung gets on the wall there.
For a split second, we thought that maybe Raven had a chance because Dami was slightly behind Hamelin when it came to joining the rest of his team with the global movement skill, but ultimately being 3 levels down does give you no favors. And overall, like throughout this game, we have seen MVP Miracle do much better in team fights simply by virtue of having the better composition. I think Raven could have done a slightly better job in all of these team fights if they had engaged perfectly so that all the damage went in at once and Tassiver's problem of not being able to shield several people at a time would have become more pronounced.
Yep, that's right. And when Vala's already picked off, you know every single healing and shield will go towards Illidan. Maybe going towards the support onto the back line because they had the positioning. I think that could have been a better choice instead of focusing on Judy and Illidan instead. It's very hard to hit all the skill shots onto Illidan also. So maybe after this fight, better target picking can be better for Raven this time.
But this could be the last fight of the game.
There's an engage on Cocoon onto Ariel once more, but the focus fire onto Vala is real, and now this looks disastrous for Miracle. No sustain at all. All the targets has been picked off. Leamy and Uther already gone for Raven's side also.
But Illidan, Dami is showing why his Illidan was a permaban, and he's probably going to win this 2v3 all by himself, really, because Judy is just waiting and looking at Dami destroy everyone around on the sidelines, and this is going to be game.
And this is going to be game indeed. Going to MVP Miracle, and they take the series. Wow.
Pretty impressive display by both teams, I would say.
That's Dami, and I think Raven, because of all the shielding and all the skills used onto Vala, for Raven's side of course, and also from Mighty's Miracle side, and also damage in terms of CC and burst damage, everything used onto Vala that just let Illidan free. It just let Illidan lose, and Dami could do everything that he wanted at the end of the team fight. He picks up multiple targets. It's very hard to hit the non-target CC, and there was a team fight.
So all in all, I would say that Raven definitely deserves massive props for their vastly improved drafts and a lot of great execution in team fights as well, but the key thing that seems to be holding them back is sometimes it's frayed shot calling. Everyone wants to do different things, and sometimes I think they really break down severely when they, right when they start losing. Like, after they've been in the losing position for 5 minutes or so, then they suddenly, gather up their courage again and start making plays again. But right after, when they lose a crucial team fight, for a certain amount of minutes after that, they don't know what to do, and they keep getting picked off, and that's what happened.
Yeah, maybe with the little better shot calling, as you mentioned, maybe I think they could climb up to a higher place than they are right now. And of course, taking a map buff, it was a 3-1, but there was no dominant game coming out from Miracle, I would say, today. And as we expected, but Raven definitely overcame my expectations tonight. They showed improvements. I think they can do so much better with the upcoming days, but we are not done yet. The final boss, MVP Black, will be playing another series tonight, but not yet. We still have an interview with MVP Miracle. Who would you choose as the MVP from MVP Miracle tonight?
Well, I guess it could be Crazy Moving, it could be Sniper, but it's probably going to be Judy because he landed so many great hooks throughout the entire series. What do you think?
I think, okay, not Dami today. I'm
sorry. Definitely not.
I think Sniper also played decent, except for his Infernal Shrines Leroy game. And Crazy Moving with his Crazy Moving. He was also interviewed before, so maybe we'll have Judy up tonight because his stitches with the hook, especially the helping hands, has been real tonight.
Yeah, he was definitely the winning force behind MVP Miracle on that game on Infernal Shrines. And have we seen Judy on this before?
I don't think so. Maybe maybe he was in Blossom, but we are going into the interview. Let's see what it's gonna be.
오늘의 주인공 주디 선수예요.
And it is Judy on the desk.
야, 오늘
from MVP Miracle.
정말 승리 축하드리고.
And congrats on your win, of course.
가지고 인터뷰를 하게 됐는데 좀 승리 따내니까 좀 어떠셨어요?
And how's it taking a win
기분 좋죠.
today? Of course, it feels great
레이븐에게
after a win.
뒷덜미를 잡혀서 끌려간 경기 있었잖아요.
Raven, there was a game that you guys had a pretty tough time
다 무너지고
against Raven today.
예, 그 이후에 지금 뭐 선수들이 막 계속 흔들리는 그런 모습들이 좀
we saw
잡혔는데
lots of
그때는
shaky
어땠어요?
moments in that game. How was that?
그때도 뭐 저희가 침착하게 하면 이길 수 있다고.
But we thought
저희끼리
if
분위기
we
좋았어요.
calm down
분위기
enough,
괜찮았어요.
we
오.
knew we could have win
그
that
중에서
game
가장
also.
침착했던 선수가 주디?
Were you the most calm down
그렇죠.
person in the team?
야.
Of course, I was the
원래
one.
미라클이 약간 분위기를 타는 팀이다라는 평가가 많았었는데 내가
And lots of
들어가면서
times,
중심을 잡아.
Miracle seems to be
그러니까요.
going with the
미라클에
atmosphere.
있어서 이 존재
How was
중심
the
내가
regular
되겠다는
pick?
그런 욕심 좀 있지 않았어요?
뭐 없진 않았죠.
어,
You also had the
당연히
confidence to go in.
예, 그래서 이제
with
많은
stitches?
팬분들의 관심 받는 거 좋아하시고 거기서 팀원들에게 또 힘이 돼주고 싶고
네, 그렇죠.
예, 이제 미라클로 좀 들어가서 이제 함께 하는데
As you're in,
주디 선수가
MVP
보는
Miracle
미라클은 좀
now.
어때요?
제가 보는 미라클이.
예,
and how do you
그냥
actually rate Miracle right
재밌고
now?
좋은 팀이죠.
재밌고 좋고
I think
좀
it's a
매력도
very
있고.
그렇죠.
fun,
그럼 뭐
exciting
팬분들이나 이제
team.
그런 부분에
good team.
있어서는 또 같이 함께 좀 이야기를 나누면서 좀 만들어 나가는 거예요?
뱀픽 부분은 이야기는
Well, the
다
drafting-
하는데 결국 결정은 주장님이 하셔서
We do lots of talk in the between,
다 같이
but
이야기
at the end,
하죠.
it's
나랑
always
얘기하고
crazy moving
저는 이제
deciding
다른
anyhow.
선수들은
So
보통 기수형
음.
혹은 시무빙 선수라고 하는데 주장님이라고 하는 거에서
and he actually says captain
분위기가
instead of crazy moving.
아니야.
지금까지 딱
The
쓰면서
captain
너무
decides
네,
everything.
그렇게
수학여행 온 것 같다 그랬는데
고개 숙이고 하는
네.
그런 선수 아니잖아요.
그렇죠.
주장 형! 막 이러면서 하는 거 아니에요?
So you can just
원래
call out his
기성이라고
name
부르는데
right there, you know.
긴장해가지고. 네.
그래서
But
또
he's the
이제
captain,
여러
and
가지
you know he
질문들이
stayed on the team
아마추어
for a while.
이게 질문이 좀 있어요 인터뷰가.
네.
많은 팀들이 리빌딩이 좀 됐잖아요.
And after all the
네,
roster changes in
많은
Korea,
팀들이 리빌딩이 됐는데 MVP 이제 미라클도 리빌딩이 됐고 주디 선수가 들어오면서
with you
팀이
coming in
어떻게
into Miracle,
바뀌었는지.
how do you think yourself coming
좀
into
더-
the phase number 2?
탱커가 주도하는 조금 더 말을 많이 하는
I think it's more of a
제가 주도하다 보니까
the
좀 더
tanks talk a
공격적인
little bit more as I
바뀐 것 같아요.
communicate
그리고
a little
이제
more.
여기서 가장 경계가 되는 팀이 있잖아요.
Who's the
그
most
바뀐 팀들
fearful
중에서 이
team right now in
팀이
Korea?
가장 경계가 된다.
지금 HGC 코리아에 있는 팀들 중에서
경계되는
예, 경계 좀 뭐 두렵기도 하고 하지만 이 팀을 좀 이겨보고 싶고
The one
하지만
that's
좀
that you guys are
되고
most
라이벌이다.
cautious
라이벌인
about?
것 같긴 하지만
The
우리가 좀
rival?
질 것도 같고.
The one that you think you
라이벌이라고
can
하면은
win or cannot win?
마이티
against-
정도?
마이티
I think
정도.
our rival is
그럼 이참에
about
지금
mighty,
블랙의
I
시대가
would
다시
say.
올리는데
네.
블랙을 상대로
How about
주디가 들어가
MVP
있으니까
Black?
박살 내겠다 뭐 이런 거.
Judy, you can say like you can
아니,
go
박살
crush them. I don't think
아니에요?
that's gonna happen.
예, 그러면 자신감도
At all.
있잖아요, 형제 팀이니까.
But you still do have confidence
그런 부분이
even though they're
있어서
your
이제
sister
이
team.
자리가 어떻게 보면 팬분들에게 좀 인사해드리는 자리인데 강력하게 이번 시즌 각오 한번 좀 천명 한번 해주세요.
이번 시즌
네,
각오는
Well, let's hear your
제가
last words
미라클에
going into phase 2.
센 팀에 들어왔으니까
As I
제가
am in the
들어와서
stronger team,
더 센 팀이 될 수 있도록
I would
노력하겠습니다.
help the team
그리고
to
여러 가지
for them to
제보들이
actually
좀
become
들어오고 있는데
stronger
주디
now.
선수가 너무 공격적이다.
I would want
들어가는데
to.
뒤를 안 보고 앞만 보고 돌진하는
약간
스타일이다.
팀원들한테 혼난다.
Judy, as before you're
이런저런
super
이야기를
aggressive,
저희가
you are
뭐
going
직접
all the
들은 건
way in.
아니거든요.
그렇죠.
예, 워낙에 지금 이런저런 이야기인데 그 부분에 있어서는
다
맞아요?
사실입니다.
I think that's all
팩트
true.
체킹.
It's all
예,
fact.
그런가요?
정확하게 들었네요.
그럼
저희가.
누가 뒤에서 고삐를 잡고 있어요?
Who was the one holding you back this time?
기수형이
가지마 이러면서.
It's crazy
하지마
moving.
하면 제가
아,
He always
안돼
says,
들어갈
"Don't go
거야
in, don't go
하면서
in," and
그렇죠,
I
그렇죠.
always say,
그러면
"I want to go in."
네.
그리고 이제 기수 선수가 그 우리 크 모드가 있고 다른 크 모드가 있잖아요.
And there's also
예.
always
그때
the
당시에
crazy
우리 카드
moving
그럴 때
and
진짜 칭찬
not so
잘해주죠.
crazy moving
아,
days.
진짜 많이 해주세요.
근데 그 다른 모드일 때는
When he's not so crazy moving
많이
days, how is he?
해주시죠.
그렇죠.
But he
그러면
still
이
does a
자리에
lot of
들어가서,
caring for me.
주장님에게 한 말씀 해주세요.
As you want to have a shout out to your captain
카메라 보고 영상 남잖아요.
in,
이거 영원히
in front of the
남아요.
camera.
오늘 나온 거.
This will be up on YouTube, you know.
기수형 뭐
Crazy moving
쓴소리 많이 해주셔서 제가 더 열심히 해서 그런 소리 안 들을 수 있도록 할게요 형.
with all
되게
the
겁을
toxic
먹고
talk that you said.
아니죠.
I will do my
아니에요.
best
지금
to not be
매우
trashed
좋고요.
so many
예, 그리고
times.
이제 아껴주시고 사랑해주신 팬분들에게 한 말씀 해주신다면요.
And your last words to your
어,
fans, please.
아껴주시고 사랑해주시는 팬분들
Thanks for loving the
덕분에
team.
게임 열심히 하고 재밌게 하고 있으니까
I've been playing and I've been having a lot of fun in Miracle.
해주셨으면 감사하겠습니다.
And keep on rooting for the team, please.
축하드립니다.
Thank you.
자 이렇게 해서 주디 선수와 이야기를 나눠봤고요. 오늘 첫 번째 경기 결과 정리해드리겠습니다.
Seems like that's the end of the interview with Judy, with MVP Miracle taking a 3-1 victory tonight with match number 1. But of course, as I mentioned, we're not done yet.
And I thought the part about talking about how Judy is sort of forced not to go in so deep is very telling into how the MVP organization as a whole views the tank role, because TTSST has been under the same criticism from the sister team MVP Black, right? So as a whole, I think MVP really wants his team to be careful.
Okay, but we're not done yet, as I mentioned before. Guys, the final boss, MVP Black, versus RRR will be match number 2. Maybe it will be a Bible thump, but we'll be back after a little bit longer of a commercial break. See you guys very soon.
Know the extent of my strength.